Welcome to the e-commerce leader series, the podcast dedicated to helping founders and operators navigate the future of commerce with AI. I'm your host, Eric Bidinger. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Luca AI. And today's guest is Spencer David, co-founder and COO of Live Bearded. Now, many of your listeners may remember that we spoke to Anthony a few episodes back, where we explored the incredible systems, AI systems that Live Bearded has built internally. And today we're taking the conversation one level deeper. We're talking to the operator behind the brand to understand what happens when innovation meets execution, how Live Bearded scales, and what operational excellence looks like inside one of the most recognizable DTC brands in America. So, Spencer, super nice to have you with us.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. Thanks for the intro there. And it's an honor and privilege to be here. Excited to have a great conversation and hopefully add a little bit of value.
Fantastic. I'm sure you will. So for our listeners who may not know the story, can you tell us a little bit about Live Bearded, how you guys got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So Live Bearded was started as a test in 2015. Anthony and I, Mink, who you referenced, he's on your podcast in the early episodes. He and I have been friends for 10 years at the time. Best buddies, playing basketball, met just right after college. And for years, we talked about going into business together, and we never quite had the right idea. When you're going into business, especially with friends, you want to be slow to action because going into business is not easy. When you layer in friendship, it can be extra difficult or extra pressure. So we were slow to act, but it was 2015. I was growing out a beard. It was No Shave November. And back in those days, the beard trend was just kind of taken off. And I noticed I was getting a lot of compliments on my beard, and guys were, women are really quick to compliment each other, which is amazing. They'll, say, "Oh, I love your purse or your shoes or the bag," whatever it is. And men just don't really compliment each other on too many things. But a beard is something that a stranger will compliment another stranger on. And I thought it was fascinating. And so he and I had been friends for 10 years. We talked about going into business. The trend was happening. I had a beard and had recognized that there was just really no products on the market. It was an emerging space, and there's only a couple brands on the market creating products. And so I said, you know what, Mink, have you ever thought about doing something in the beard space? And it was totally random, but we researched it and we decided to come together and launch it. And we put it together in late 15, officially launched in early 2016. And it's been our mission since day one to help beardsmen look, feel, and be their best. We've kind of prioritized brotherhood and community above selling products. So that's been our focus for the last 10 years. And we've had a lot of fun doing it.
What an amazing origin story. It's so cool. And by the way, for our listeners, I think when we first met prior to this recording, I think the first thing I did was compliment you on your beard, right?
Yes, it's true. It is. Yeah. Yep. It's an occupational hazard. If we're going to represent the brand, we have to, the products work, I got to display that they work well. So yeah, absolutely.
There you go. So you've experienced tremendous growth in the 10 years that since you've existed. So looking back, what do you think was the hardest stage of that growth? Was it the 0 to 1 million? Was it the 1 to 10 million? Was it beyond that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think each chapter of the business has exposed different challenges, right? And they're all, hard. I think the hardest chapter for us has come more recently. I think once we pass the 10 million mark, I think that as a team starts to scale, the people side of business, when the team's growing, just communication, systems, process, meetings, structure, comms, I think that's for us as operators, that's been the hardest thing to grow through. Was right around the 10 million mark. And we saw some flat growth. We get to they say that's kind of a death trap for a lot of businesses because you're large enough to have a big enough team where you need more communication to keep everybody aligned, but you don't have all the resources in the world to go, truly fund building all the systems, and you're working on the business, and to try to develop systems and processes, it's just increasingly harder now. With AI and the world we live in today, that's very different because it's giving us so much leverage to create a lot of the SOPs and the internal MD files, and we'll obviously talk at length about that stuff. But that's been the hardest part about our businesses, and from the growth from my perspective, is the people and the systems and communication.
That's fascinating. Yeah, there is this whatever the Dunbar concept, right? It's teams of 5, teams of 15, and then teams of 150, and then above 150, it's all hell's breaks loose.
Yeah, good problems.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for that super cool insight. Anthony and I, we spoke extensively during the previous podcast about AI and Atlas, which is amazing, by the way. So I'm curious from your perspective, what do you actually spend time worrying about every day?
Worrying about every day? Yeah, it's a great question. I think for Live Bearded specifically, on a zoomed out macro level, we definitely worry about the space that we're in terms of the overall timing of our specific niche category. When we started, like I said, it was 2015. The beard trend was super popular. Everybody was growing a beard. No Shave in November was, popularized. It was very hip. A lot of the hipsters, and very trendy to grow a beard. So it was an emerging new market with no competition. Fast forward 10 years, we're in a market that is extremely saturated and commoditized. And though we believe beards are not going anywhere, a lot of our guys, will have beards forever. The trend or the popularity is definitely kind of softened. And so we're seeing, I think the overall market's grown, but the competition within our market has exponentially just exploded. When we started in the space, there was, a handful of small boutique companies. Now every Old Spice, every Procter & Gamble, big brand, they're on retail shelves across the country. And it's been so commoditized down that we can't compete at price with those guys. So we have a moat because of the brand that we've built. But in terms of the overall TAM and the opportunity, I think that's definitely something that we are very mindful of, because I think it's an increasingly more competitive space, and the market share isn't necessarily increasing. So on a macro level, that's definitely one of the big things. And then inside of the company, I think it's really how do we just leverage and get more efficient with our output? We experienced a tough run as operators where we hire people and hope that we can hire the right people to bring in the infrastructure to bring the scale. And we went through some heavy times where we hired all these talented people, but then the growth and scale didn't come. And then we find ourselves with a bloated labor budget. And now we're really trying to focus on how do we build the systems? How do we leverage tools like Atlas and Claude to build and just get more output and throughput from our people. And so we've actually leaned the team down, and we're getting a lot more accomplished now because the systems we are building and with the leverage of AI to be able to get a lot more done with a much smaller, leaner team. And so that's been a big focus for us.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, that's almost the definition of technology, right? To be able to do more with less. No, super interesting. I think like the point you were making earlier, which I think resonates with, we certainly hear it everywhere around the world, is that the top down at the macro level, just the market is just harder. Everything is saturated, CACs are rising. It's almost impossible to find a niche that is not highly competitive. And if it is, then it's just too small a niche. And so on this then, and just for listeners, so what do you think e-commerce founders today are still underestimating? And the follow-on question is, if you were to start Live Bearded today, what would you do differently?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it's such a fascinating time right now with the tools that we have, with the partners that you can have, with all the AI emerging. And we were talking before the call, it is a little overwhelming and dizzy and nauseating to try to keep up with everything. But I think operators now have the ability to do so much more with the right tools and the leverage of AI that we just couldn't do before. And so now media buying is getting simplified, and you can, as a single solopreneur in a lot of ways, I hear a lot of brands that are operating in tens of millions of dollars with a team of 2 or 3 people. And we've seen extreme examples where it's a small team going into the hundreds of millions. And so that is what's capable now, where that was mind blowing when we started. It's like, we couldn't imagine building a 9-figure brand with a team of less than 10 people, but it's actually doable and possible now. And I think that's what's fascinating to me is how do you stay up with all the leverage and the tools and the technology that we have access to and learn it so you can deploy it and just be as efficient and lean. And I think that's one of the only ways we're going to be able to combat the rising CAC and all the marketing. When we started, we were acquiring customers for $3, $4, $5. I wish we could turn back the clock and pour every dollar we have back into that machine, because it was printing for us. We just didn't realize, and we were bootstrapping, growing out of the profits of the business. And so we were not scaling as fast as we would have if we would have known that our CAC would have been 10x, more than 10x a handful of years later. And so I think with those things not going backwards, I think keeping really lean and just trying to leverage the tools and keep your headcount and your OpEx down as lean as possible is we've got that ability now, and better than we've ever had in history.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And actually, like you were talking about how headcount, grew, and then maybe a little bit too much, and I don't know where you place the cursor today, but in your experience, so as the business itself has grown and together the headcount, has your decision-making process evolved as well? And if it has, like, how would you describe that?
Yeah, it definitely, so it kind of grew in 2022, made the conscious investment into people, again, thinking that the right people would give the unlock. And that is not the wrong thesis, because the right people that bring the strategy can unlock if they are driving and know where to be, where to be focusing and what to be working on. For us, I think our lesson was we onboarded people too quickly. We didn't have the clear, we didn't onboard them or direct them in the proper way. So we had more bodies we were communicating with and less decision makers. So we were still the bottlenecks of trying to drive decision, and we had too many people so there's more busy work, more work being done, but no throughput and output because there was just bottleneck of execution. So I think now it's we can get a lot more done with a smaller team. And it without the right strategy and leadership and deployment of execution and direction of those people, they're not going to solve your problems unless you put them in the right seat, and it's very clear roles and responsibility of what they're doing. So doing it now, it's where our outlook is how do we keep it as lean and make sure communication is as succinct and together as possible. Because when we went over 20 employees, we were having meetings to have meetings, and we were just like so inefficient in the actual output because we were spending so much time just trying to get everybody rowing in the same direction. Yeah. And that's a critical mistake.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
you feel that pain a little bit. I think everybody's been there, and it's easy to say that. It's like, and it's hard sometimes to not go through it, because everyone I've ever talked to has gone through it. It's like everyone experiences it.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, that's the difference between very good managers and just good or average managers, right? It's to be able to just extract the last drop of the lemon juice out of the lemon, and making sure the team works in sync. Can I ask you, like, from an ops point of view, like today, how many systems does you and your team rely on a day-to-day basis to understand your business, your performance, your KPIs?
Yeah, we get daily P&Ls, so that's kind of number one. We work with a fractional CFO team, and we get daily P&Ls, and obviously that drives the majority of the decision, just to make sure nothing is inherently broken or not working. So the primary driver of the daily changes is going to be in our media efficiency and our advertising. We rely heavily on meta ads, as I'm sure a lot of your audience does. So daily P&L is one of the biggest ones. It's just top down to the business. And then on the ops specifically, we pull weekly reporting on all of our inventory. So in e-commerce, obviously, one of the bigger constraints is the cash flow and managing inventory, especially with large SKU catalogs. So we have weekly reporting where we look at all the forecasting based on real-time sales data on what SKUs and SKU velocity, et cetera, so we can try to manage our inventory as just in time as possible. We have great manufacturing partnerships here locally. And so we were able to keep our inventory relatively lean, which has been massively helpful from a cash flow perspective. Early on in the business, we're trying to forecast, planning for growth, you over order. Now cash flow is tight. Again, we've all been there, but that's a really critical report for us, so we can really manage the SKU counts and the inventory, so we don't get bloated, but we also don't run out of stock. So I'd say those are, from ops, those are two of the bigger ones for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like, from the wide breadth of different people that we speak to on this podcast, plus our audience in general, I mean, it looks like you're definitely more on the sophisticated side of things. I mean, you've been in operations for a while. You're a big brand. You have processes in place. You have systems in place. It looks like you're really on top of things. That being said, do you feel today that there's still areas of the business where you feel that there's unknown unknowns? Like, do you believe that there are blind spots in your company today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be ignorant to think that there wasn't. I think we, as operators, I think we have to find and try to identify where the largest constraints are. And the truth of the matter is there's always going to be fires burning in the business. It's which is the biggest fire, which one do we need to put out first, and which fires do we need to allow to burn a little longer while we just focus on the biggest. And if we think about the theory of constraints, it's like, well, if we over-index on the biggest constraint of the business and be okay allowing these other things to burn for a little while, that is just how we have to operate, because we can't be everywhere all at once. And so I think, we have to stop often enough to really zoom out and look at where are the biggest constraints, and then how do we put a disproportionate amount of energy and effort into solving that. And then when we get that solved, then we prioritize the sequence of, okay, now we get to this second, third, fourth, and we shift our priority. But yeah, there's always, I know off the top of my head, there's areas right now we need to improve. Like we're focusing on LTV and our so it's like our rewards program needs to be reworked. Our subscription, there's things that we know we need to work on, but it's solving the biggest constraint and then downstream from there.
Yeah. No, totally. Fascinating, by the way. Very good insight. This theory of constraints, first time I hear it, and makes total sense. Good framing. I think it's a good framing for what we all experience intuitively or viscerally. There's, like you said, fires, just you need to let them burn. It's just no time.
Well, and you feel overwhelmed if you feel like you have to do it all. It feels like, as operators, like we're just getting our butts kicked every single day. And if you try to feel like you have to solve everything at once, you are setting yourself to be miserable and fail. And the idea to solve it all is unrealistic. I know organizations, as large as Amazon that are just burning internally, but they are highly successful and crushing it. But it's like internally there's chaos, and I don't know a business that doesn't have something broken or some sort of chaos. There's nothing, unless it's just a two-man team and they're not trying to grow and they're stabilizing. It's like, if you're trying to accelerate and grow and it's like everyone experience, and that's okay. But again, don't pivot to a $5 problem, pivot to where the real constraint is, and let those other things burn, and it's okay. And I think that's been a big shift for us.
Absolutely. No, good. So switching gears a little bit. So Anthony shared some really cool insights about Atlas and the internal AI infrastructure that you guys have been building, which is really, really impressive. From your perspective, where do you think AI has delivered the biggest real world value so far?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's evolving all the time, right? It's changing so much. But I think for us, we're using Atlas and some of the agentic model to try to create obviously the agents throughout the whole business. We haven't rolled them into the business yet, but I think the biggest impact is just how we can, like, operationally, that we've realized is really creating guardrails and systems for. It's really probably on the content and the marketing side of how we can create guardrails and systems around brand voice and consistency. One of the things as the team grows, we have certain copywriters, we have people in marketing, we have a content team. It's really easy for campaigns to, slightly vary in terms of ad creative copy to landing page copy to post-purchase email copy. So voice, and if one person's writing an email, but a different person's creating the ad, and somebody else is doing the scripting, it's really easy for the tone and the voice to get slightly varied. And so as we focus on micro funnels and speaking to specific avatars and demographics, we've really been able to utilize AI to systemize that voice and use one messaging master doc that everybody references and builds off of. So the throughput and the spine of the entire campaign stays extremely consistent, whether I'm pulling it or Anthony's pulling it or anybody on our marketing team's pulling it. And just that consistency, obviously layered with the efficiency from a copywriting perspective. And we're leveraging through all of our copy. It's like we can give the inputs, it's now extracting it, and we're briefing, scripting, ads, landing page copy, all that stuff so much faster. And so we're saving not only the time on the actual output, but then the consistency is really massive as well, so that we're just having that kind of holistic brand consistent.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's amazing what one .md file can do, right, across the organization. And it's only 3 months old. We do the same, and just exactly being able to share the skills across the organization
Exactly.
This consistency is key. So that's a good example of where it works. Where does AI, where has AI failed to live up to expectations, according to you?
It's a great question. I think AI is still it's not perfect. It's so new. I mean, it is great, and it is. I'm very, very bullish on it. But I think we as operators need to still make sure that we're taking it to the finish line. So even the copy, everything that we do, like we still have to read it. We can't just export a report and expect it to be perfect and send it to our team. I think where we get in trouble internally is now it's like if we're working on something, we'll have somebody use Claude or an agent or whatever to pull a report, and it's like I think sometimes it overcomplicates things where we're trying to solve a problem. Now we got a 12-page report and we send it, and then we get a response with another 16-page report back, and we get another response. And it's like, before you know it, we have 80 pages we're trying to decipher through. And it's like, guys, what are we trying to solve here? Like, let's use 2 sentences to explain this and go back to first principles and just like, what are we trying to actually get done? That is overwhelming. And we're using, AI to scrub the AI report to respond. So we've killed that sense. We're trying to like really limit the reports that we're doing, because that's just like we're spinning out all these amazing reports. But if it doesn't actually spark action, if we don't actually utilize it, then it's just a big waste of time. And so I think that's where we have to be mindful as operators and within our teams of not like use it to extract what you need, but then don't get so caught up in all the things you can do with it. It's like, what do you need to get done? And then use it to get the thing done that you're trying to get done. Yeah. And then beyond that, it just can kind of be a distraction sometimes. So I think that's probably one of the bigger ones operationally that we've experienced. Just trying to reduce that bloat that naturally happens. Probably the biggest one that comes to mind. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think it's exactly that. I mean, you do have this slop, right? I think what's interesting is that so there is a kicker in terms of personal productivity from those tools, clearly, but then it looks like some tools quite quickly. I mean, it's rewriting emails, booking calendars. I mean, it's great. It saves you a lot of time. Like you said, the human needs to stay in the loop. You always need to stay on top of what is being produced just to make sure that it's fine. I think what's interesting is that probably in the very near future, or even today, you can build systems that are actually helping you with the decision making at the strategic and tactical level, so that it's not just a personal productivity gain story. It's literally an impact on real tangible business metrics. Like you should be able to measure, well, look, using AI, I was able to increase my revenues by an incremental X%, right? Control my cost by an incremental or the incremental X%, increase my operating profit and my cash generation by Y%. Like those kinds of tangible business metrics, I think that's the next level where we're going, because ultimately that's the tip of the spear, right? I mean, that's what we all strive for and want to do is grow faster while controlling costs. And I think AI is going to be. So yeah, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And it's so new. We're just learning, right? It's so new. We're learning, and you kind of have to learn through the failure to kind of find what works and what doesn't, and it's evolving quickly. But 100% agree with what you said.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, since we're learning, so what advice would you give e-commerce founders trying to become AI native today?
I think you just got to be curious and you got to tinker. I think, there's no information that's not out there. If you're curious and you're willing to ask some questions and look like a fool and just prompt and just kind of go down the rabbit hole, I think as long as you're curious, the information is out there. And there's so much content and so many good communities and groups like what you're sharing that you're building. And I think the access to the information is out there. You have to kind of put your filter to try to decipher what to follow, because there's an overwhelming amount of content. But as long as you're curious and you can prompt and dig in and we have the opportunity to learn it all, and we all have access to it. So I think it'd just be like, don't be worried about being a fool. Everybody's a fool. It's new to all of us. And if you think you're behind, we all feel like we're behind. And it's just, it's so new and going to be so big. It's like nobody knows what's around the corner yet. And I think just try to get ahead of it, because it is here and it's coming. And I think it could be a massive complement to whatever skills you have to just give you leverage and amplify your ability 10x or more, right? So I think just lean in, be curious, and just learn.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's a bit like what we're saying, right? It feels overwhelming because there's just so much of it and you don't know where to even start. I mean, how do you climb Mount Everest? And the answer is you take a first step. And so definitely intellectual curiosity. But I think the other thing which I've noticed, I'd love to hear your thoughts on, is that those systems ultimately may feel a little bit scary in a way because they're so powerful, and you don't, if you are new to it, you don't really know how to extract all the power. Now the beauty is that the systems themselves are amazing at teaching you how to extract the most out of them, right? Like a typical prompt would be on, that's what we tell our clients. A typical prompt would be, I have 5 minutes. This is the first time I'm using you. Tell me how I should populate those 5 minutes in the way that's going to maximize XYZ. And you define what XYZ is. And boom, and then the system, and then you start. And then at least you've done one rabbit hole, right? And then tomorrow, the same as something else. Like it's a different XYZ. But the systems are, at the same time, they're answering, but they're also coaching you. You can use them to teach you how to use them. So it's it's very meta.
That's the best part. That's the best part. And that's to be curious, ask questions. It's like it'll tell you how to do whatever you need to do. Just ask it, and it'll walk you right through it. But you just got to start asking questions and direct it, and it's there.
Exactly. So last question before we get to finishing up with a rapid fire. So if we fast forward 3 years, what does the ideal version of Live Bearded look like?
The ideal version of Live Bearded is going to be just a highly optimized, efficient machine with core group of killer operators backed with VA and AI support, so we can keep our internal team lean and mean and just maximize the efficiency there. We're currently building out a holdco model. So our thesis is Live Bearded is kind of brand one in the ecosystem. We're working on launching a secondary brand here, hopefully by September. And we're going to do the idea with systems and AI and leverage. We can duplicate what we've built, implement that into multiple brands using the leverage of AI to be able to manage and run multiple brands at once, and then kind of roll those into a holdco portfolio of brands. That was our thesis since day one, 10 years ago. It's taken us a little longer to get to brand two, but now with AI, we can actually build the systems to get ahead of it to actually have the bandwidth to execute on brand two. So that's where we'll be 3 years from now, at least the second brand.
Are you at the liberty to tell us what the second brand is going to be?
We can't release the name yet, but it is in the protein category. So it's a protein snack brand, which obviously massive tailwind in protein right now. We've been formulating and developing since October. We got product approved, so we're probably 60 to 90 days out, and it's we'll have to circle back on it, but it's going to be a fun one.
Fantastic. I hope you get to come on the podcast when it launches.
I'll have to do a follow up. Yeah, I'll have to do a follow up.
I'm not. I can't use Live Bearded's product, but the protein stuff, we
can get some protein. Yeah. That's one of the things we learned with, it's like project selection is so important for anybody who doesn't have a business right now. It's like project selection is so critical. Again, Live Bearded's been incredible. It was so easy to identify our customers because they physically wear it, but it is such a niche brand and audience, and we're selling to men with beards who use grooming and buy online. It's like 1% of 1%. I mean, it's a small audience, right? So we're looking for a bigger TAM opportunity on this next swing.
Yeah. Great segue into the rapid fire, if you don't mind. Like, biggest lesson from building Live Bearded.
Yep. Project selection, probably one of the bigger ones, because I think we do a lot of things really, really well with Live Bearded, but we're not saying we're capped, but there's a lot of diminishing returns. We could force scaling it bigger. And then there's what is the opportunity cost for the business that we have is phenomenal and I'm proud of it. What is the opportunity cost by putting all this effort into a small TAM opportunity? And so I think project selection is definitely up there. And then, it's probably the biggest one that I feel right now because I'm so in it. And then the other one would be on the people on the hiring side. There's two different sides of the camp. It's hire before you need it, and then it's hire once it's broken. Having been burned by the hire ahead of time, when your labor budget goes from 9% of on your P&L to 20%, and margins get thin because you're paying all these people and the output and it's more meetings and like you're not getting any more work out of it. It's very debilitating. So I would say on the people side, like use the tools. use the AI, stay lean, get as much as you can get done on your own, and just stay small and mighty, because that's the model that wins, I think, today.
Fantastic. Very good advice. Most overrated e-commerce metric.
Most overrated?
Yep. And I'm going to ask about underrated right after.
Yeah. Most overrated. I mean, I can go a number of different directions here. I think that I think so many people have optimized for top line revenue, and it's just been this chasing top line. And unless you're going and you're raising and you're going for $1 billion brand where you're acquiring customers, and that's the goal and that's the strategy for most 99% of businesses and operators, the top line revenue is not the thing to chase. It's creating a really efficient machine and bottom line. And we did that early because we had to out of growth. Call it just excitement. You can call it ego. You can call it whatever. It's like forced top line, and that changes your behavior a little bit. I think have a business, build it in a way that you're looking at it with a long time horizon, not a quick flip, flash in the pan. So look at a long time horizon, and typically the forced top line revenue for ego's sake or to make a quick buck is not the right move. It's building a machine that's built for decades, not months or a flash in the pan, and more focus on the bottom line and efficiencies than that top line ego number.
I'm smiling because it's there's so much concordance between what you just said, and I just, by your background, I spent 20 years in private equity, and if there's one thing that industry teaches you when you're leading up a business with a shit ton of debt, and that's vanity metrics are just vanity metrics. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is how much cash you're generating over the next 6 months. That's it. Call me when you generate cash. The rest, I don't want to hear.
Yeah, 100%.
Good segue into the follow-on question is like the most underrated e-commerce metric. Is it cash generation? Is it operating?
Cash generation would be the easy answer. If I was to give you another one, the other place I went is just LTV. I think we also went through this, and I think everybody does. It's like more customers. But I think what's made our brand special that we didn't even realize was the loyalty and the community that we built. And retention. It's like the most expensive purchase is obviously going to be the first one. And most brands go negative on the first purchase. So if you don't have a sticky product or a sticky service, if you're not giving unreasonable hospitality on the customer experience perspective, if you're not making it special and giving them reasons to come back and treating them well and earning it, you're just going to lose. Again, like retention and LTV, like the only way we'll win. Advertising costs are not going backwards. Like you have to create something that will get them to earn it back. And so product has to be good. I mean, all the things that have to go into that LTV. But I think again, playing that long time horizon game and focusing on LTV and really treating your customers right, I think that goes a long way. And it's the only way you'll win today. Like it's the only way you'll win.
That's amazing. I mean, that's again 100%. That's what I tell my team. I said, look, the moment a client becomes a client, from literally hour one, your goal is to make sure that they're going to stay with us, whatever it takes, because that's what you should be striving for. You're rolling the red carpet, white glove service, whatever the client wants, just make sure they don't churn, right? Because 100%. We know how hard and expensive it is to acquire people, and providing them with good service and having them stay with you for a long time, that's the best service you can give yourself.
Absolutely agree.
And you're doing good by your clients and your product as well, it's kind of like everyone wins.
Value line, you can sleep well at night. I mean, it's the proper way to do it, right?
Exactly. One belief you've changed your mind on in the last year.
One belief I changed my mind on. Man, I don't know what comes to mind. One belief.
If you don't have any, we can edit that out.
Yeah. I think what comes to mind on a belief, I'm a very loyal, stick to your guns, committed personality. I'll show up day in and day out and grind. And I think there's sunk cost fallacy is real. And when you get committed, like we have to as operators, zoom out and really identify, is this a head down push through, or is this like a pivot moment? And I think it's easy to just commit and say, no, we'll grind through this. And And the reality is like, no, sometimes you can't just force it and you can't just grind, and you have to swallow your pride a little bit and say, we need to pivot. And that's totally okay. And I think the previous version of me is like, no, we committed, this is the mission, this is what we're doing. And again, not saying you wave the white flag and give up on things prematurely, but there is a fine line where you have to identify, is this a pivot moment? Is this a push moment? And that's been newer for me because I've just been like head down grind, like put on my back, let's go, let's operate, let's crush. And you can do that to a certain degree, but there's sometimes you do need to pivot because again, opportunity costs, all the things. So I think that's probably what comes to mind.
That's so cool. It's such a fine needle to thread. Huh? It's and it's unfortunately it's a fine needle to thread, and it's the difference between success and failure. And it hinges on a knife's edge.
100%.
Yeah. Last question. Last fireside question. So, best advice you've ever received?
Best advice I've ever received was the greatest investment you'll make is in who you marry. That's the best advice. And I definitely got to say I did right by that, because having my wife and the stability and support in the belief system makes the weight of carrying any of the stress or things in the business just light, And so I think, if you're not married or if you don't have a partner, I think that could also translate to the people in your corner, in your inner circle, and who you have on your executive team, who you have as your close friends and your people that speak life into you and believe in you, hold you accountable, challenge you. And I think that goes a long way into how you operate your business, how you lead your team, what you believe is possible, and just how you show up and operate and execute.
Yeah. That's what they say, right? Behind every successful man lies a
100%. Yeah, I hard agree in that. Yeah, hard agree with that.
Wow, Spencer, that was amazing. What a nice conversation. So many nuggets of wisdom out there. I think we're definitely gonna do some shorts here, because there's so many things that you said that almost require their own little 20-second clip, and then we'll
appreciate that.
We'll send that to you. That was a great conversation, Spencer. Thank you very much for being a guest. For our audience, if you could remind them again where they can find you and where they can find Live Bearded.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the honor and privilege to be here, Eric. It was an awesome conversation. Love the chat, and really just grateful for it. Live Bearded, livebearded.com, Live Bearded on all the handles. That's where you can find us personally. Spence Meets World. I was off social media for 6 years. I'm back on there building a little personal brand to try to influence, encourage men to step up and lead better, be better husbands and fathers and leaders. So that's where you can find me personally.
We'll put all of those in the show notes. But yeah, very happy to have you on. Amazing conversation, and I think what you're doing both at Live Bearded and just personally, it's amazing. I'm in awe. So thanks very much for this.
Really appreciate you, but thank you so much for the time. We'll talk soon. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
We see you guys on the next episode. Here we go. That's a wrap. Thank you.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much, man. That was awesome. Thank you very much, man.